I'm Chase Wynn. I'm the Director of Giving and Stewardship. One of my favorite parts of my job is that because I'm having conversations with people about giving, I often get to be witness to things that otherwise nobody would see, especially acts of generosity. So one great example of that is, it was a Monday morning when the girls in the business office, Christine and Haley and Barbara, are going through the checks that we received over the weekend, and they got to one that was from a name they didn't recognize, and it was a nice gift, and it was written on the memo line for broadcast. And they were like, we don't know who this person is or what they kind of intend us to do with this gift. Would you mind calling this lady? So I reached out and had a really great conversation with this lady who doesn't live in our area, who certainly doesn't go to our church, but who through one means or another found her way to our service, either online or through the TV. And it was, I think a friend had forwarded it to her. And it was during the time that we were going through Leviticus. And she listened to that Leviticus sermon, and then she actually went back and listened to all the other Leviticus sermons and also David Strain's Daniel. And she told me that she had gone her whole life just skipping over those parts of the Bible through the teaching that's coming out of our church that was made available to her through those communication means. She actually had her eyes open to a completely new part of the Bible for her and saw Jesus kind of written in those older stories that she'd never paid attention to before. It is great disciple making of a person who otherwise wouldn't have heard that message and wouldn't have seen Jesus in those parts of the Bible. If you just kind of trace the chain of God's providence and goodness to our church in that story, we have a mission to make disciples to glorify God by making disciples in our neighborhoods and our communities around the world. We fund that mission with the faithful generosity of our people, and we think about ways to accomplish that mission with the money that we have. One of those ways that we choose to do it is through live stream and through broadcast, by making our teaching and preaching not available just in our building, but in all sorts of ways outside of our building. So then this woman, through one means or another, finds her way to that broadcast, and she responds to the good disciple-making ministry of that by giving. And now we're going to use that gift to do more ministry like that. The gift isn't the point. We're not in the business of churning out gifts. We're in the business of making disciples. But when we make disciples or disciple people, a natural response to that is going to be them giving. And that's exactly what happened here. And now we're going to use that person's act of faith to generate more acts of faith. And it's this beautiful cycle of disciple making and acts of faith, disciple making and acts of faith. That impacted me the way that any time I see an act of generosity impacts me. The message to me is always the same, the meaning to me is always the same, which is being so moved to see our people living out their faith with that act of faith. That's not a testament to them, that's a testament to the Holy Spirit at work in their heart. We need to give because we have a generous God, and we reflect His nature when we're generous, the same way we reflect His nature when we're good and kind and gentle and peaceful and loving. He's generous, and so we look more like Him by being generous. I would hope that people would be encouraged about the ministry that's happening in our church, not out of pride, not out of like, oh, look what a great job we're doing, but out of the kingdom work we're doing, out of the disciple-making work that we get the privilege of doing, and that it's being effective.